High in the mountains, where clouds brush the tips of the cliffs, stands a city that no one could find for hundreds of years. Imagine enormous stone houses and plazas built on a narrow mountain ridge at 2,400 meters above sea level. The walls are made of giant granite blocks, fitted together so precisely that you cannot slide even a sheet of paper into the gaps. The strangest part is that the people who built all of this had no iron saws, no cranes, and not even ordinary wheels with construction carts. All of this is Machu Picchu, the lost city of the Incas, which to this day raises more questions for scientists than it answers. How did ancient craftsmen haul multi-ton stones up such steep heights and create structures that have stood 5 centuries, surviving earthquakes and torrential rains? Today we will try to unravel the secrets hidden inside these empty temples and stone staircases amid the clouds. The history of Machu Picchu began roughly 550 years ago. The Inca ruler Pachacuti decided to build a personal residence far from prying eyes. The location was as remote as possible, sheer ravines on all sides, a roaring mountain river below, nothing around but the sharp peaks of the Andes. The Incas had no books or blueprints and did not record their knowledge in writing, yet they understood construction better than many modern engineers. The most remarkable feature is hidden not on the surface, but inside the mountain itself. To prevent the city from sliding down during heavy rains, the builders laid a complex system of channels underground and packed layers of sand and gravel into the foundation. Nearly 2/3 of all construction went into this invisible base. Thanks to this ingenious solution, Machu Picchu still stands today, even though thousands of powerful storms have swept through over the centuries. The main building material was gray granite, quarried right at the top of the ridge. A brilliant logistical choice, since hauling such blocks from the valley would have been nearly impossible even for thousands of workers. Enormous chunks of rock were separated by driving dry wooden pegs into cracks and soaking them with water. The wood would swell and slowly split the stone apart. But exactly how these blocks were then shaped and moved to the building site remains a mystery. The Incas did not simply stack blocks on top of one another. They ground and polished the edges so the stones interlocked like pieces of a puzzle. During an earthquake, this masonry did not collapse. It vibrated gently, and the stones settled back into place on their own. Every path and every window in the city was designed with meticulous care and aligned to the movement of the sun. The most striking feature of Machu Picchu is its dry stone masonry. No cement, no clay, no binding mortar. The stones hold together purely through their weight and the perfect fit of their shapes. Each block has a unique form with 6 to 12 faces, with special protrusions and grooves locking them together like a 3-dimensional puzzle. A knife blade cannot be slid between 2 such stones. This precision demanded extraordinary patience. A stone would be pressed against its neighbor, gaps identified, the stone removed and ground down again, repeated dozens of times until the joint was flawless. Why work so hard? The answer lies in the seismic activity of the Andes. An ordinary mortar-bound wall cracks and crumbles in a powerful earthquake. The walls of Machu Picchu work differently. The stones vibrate and bounce slightly without breaking apart, absorbing the energy of the earth. When shaking stops, the blocks settle back under their own weight. Over 500 years, earthquakes that destroyed far more modern buildings in the valleys below have left the citadel on the summit almost completely unharmed. The transportation of monoliths weighing more than 20 tons is still hotly debated. The Incas could not use wheeled carts. A wheeled vehicle is useless where the road is nothing but an endless staircase. To move a giant stone, hundreds of people dragged it along inclined planes using thick ropes of plant fiber. Logs or smooth river stones placed beneath the blocks acted as bearings. Strange protrusions found on the blocks most likely served as anchor points for levers, that helped workers position each stone precisely. Once set in place, these protrusions were often chipped away to leave a smooth surface. Without iron tools, the Incas relied on a deep understanding of materials, using stone hammers made from harder rock to chip granite into the required shapes. It was slow, monotonous labor demanding hundreds of hands and iron discipline. But the result exceeded all expectations. Their buildings do not compete with the mountains. They continue them, flowing seamlessly from natural rock into man-made walls. The city does not seem built on the summit. It seems to have grown out of it. When viewed from above, endless rows of stone steps encircle the mountain. These are the famous Incan agricultural terraces, not decoration, but a survival necessity. On the steep slopes of the Andes, an ordinary field would be washed away by the first heavy rain. The Incas created layered artificial platforms, large stones at the bottom, then gravel, then sand, and at the top, fertile soil carried up in sacks from the valley below. The terraces acted as a giant filter, letting water drain without eroding the slope, while stones inside heated in the sun and released warmth to plant roots at night, creating a microclimate that allowed heat-loving crops like maize to grow at 2,400 meters. These sky-high gardens provided enough food for the entire population of 700 to 800 people. The Incas were completely self-sufficient. Water was the greatest challenge. Machu Picchu has no wells and no large reservoirs, yet a unique aqueduct built more than 500 years ago still functions today. Incan engineers found a natural spring on a neighboring slope and built a stone channel roughly 750 meters long with a precisely calculated gradient. Water flows first into a pool reserved for the ruler, then cascades through 15 more fountains and reservoirs across the city, kept entirely separate from drainage channels. Layers of gravel and sand hidden under every plaza ensure that even the most violent tropical storm drains instantly into the ground. Modern architects acknowledge that replicating this system without pumps and pipes would be extraordinarily difficult. The Incas also showed genius in integrating the city into the landscape. They never tried to reshape the mountain, they adapted to it. A massive boulder in the way was not removed. It became part of a foundation, an altar, or a wall. Every element of Machu Picchu testifies to knowledge we are only beginning to truly understand. The builders created a self-sufficient system capable of surviving in complete isolation from the outside world indefinitely. The city is clearly divided into two zones, a residential sector with ordinary homes and a sacred district housing its most remarkable structures. Most scholars today agree that Machu Picchu served as a country estate for the highest nobility and Emperor Pachacuti himself, a place to rest from the capital's bustle, receive important guests, and conduct religious ceremonies. Between 500 and 1,000 people could live here at any time, including servants, craftsmen, and priests. Entry was possible only through narrow gates that a small guard could easily defend. The Temple of the Sun is the only building in the city with a semicircular form, its walls built around a natural rock serving as an altar. On the winter solstice, the first ray of light enters through a narrow window and falls precisely on the center of that stone. Proof that the Incas were extraordinary astronomers building not just homes, but a giant stone calendar. Directly beneath lies the royal tomb, its walls lined with perfectly polished blocks. Scientists believe the mummies of noble ancestors were kept here, treated as full participants in important ceremonies. The Temple of the Three Windows faces east, each window symbolizing one of the mythical places from which the Inca ancestors emerged. The adjacent sacred plaza served for the most important state assemblies, with acoustics so precisely designed that a person at the center could be heard clearly in the farthest corners. The central focal point of the entire city is the Intihuatana, a carved stone, meaning the place to which the sun is tied. Priests believed they could mystically anchor the sun during the solstice to ensure its return the following year. It is one of the few such artifacts to survive, since the Spanish routinely destroyed these sanctuaries first. Machu Picchu remained invisible to civilization for more than 400 years. Remarkable, given that it lies just 100 kilometers from Cusco, the former Inca capital. When Spanish conquistadors invaded in the 15th century, the city dissolved into the clouds. The steep slopes and dense vegetation formed a reliable shield. No soldier in heavy armor could push through the vertical cliffs and wild forests. Machu Picchu became one of the few sites to escape looting entirely. As decades passed, even local people began to forget the stone structures high in the mountains, coming to see them as fragments of ancient myth. Everything changed in July 1911. American historian Hiram Bingham arrived in Peru searching for Vilcabamba, the Incas' last stronghold against the Spanish. Backed by Yale University and guided by local residents, he set out on July 24th with a local sergeant and a 10-year-old shepherd boy named Pablito, whose family had long used the ancient terraces to grow vegetables, unaware they were farming the soil of a great empire. The climb was grueling, sheer cliffs, roots to cling to. When they finally reached the mist-shrouded plateau, Bingham froze in astonishment. Magnificent walls of white granite rose from dense jungle growth. Trees had wound around the houses, roots pushing through windows and doorways. Yet the masonry was so perfect that the buildings looked abandoned only recently. In this remote place, at the edge of an abyss, stood the finest examples of stone architecture he had ever seen. The complete absence of any European presence was the first thing to strike him. No Catholic crosses, no houses rebuilt in the Spanish style. It was a time capsule preserved by nature. However, Bingham made an error that confused historians for decades. He was convinced he had found Vilcabamba, the secret refuge where the Incas hid from the conquistadors. It was later established that the real Vilcabamba lies far deeper in the jungle and looks far more modest. Machu Picchu turned out to be something altogether different, more significant and more mysterious. Bingham's large-scale excavations uncovered hundreds of skeletal remains, mostly female, giving rise to the false theory that the city had been a sanctuary for the so-called Virgins of the Sun. After photographs appeared in the National Geographic Society's journal in 1913, Machu Picchu instantly became a worldwide sensation. How had a people without iron or draft animals built such a place? Why had the Incas abandoned it in its apparent prime? These questions have tormented scholars ever since. The more researchers cleared the jungle, the clearer the picture became. The city had been built to a single unified plan in which every stone had its purpose. Not a defensive fortress, but a place where the earth met the heavens. Bingham shipped thousands of artifacts, gold ornaments, ceramics, bones, to the United States, promising to return them within 18 months. The process dragged on for an entire century, and only in recent years have the treasures begun returning to Peru. Despite its grandeur, Machu Picchu was inhabited for just over 100 years. Around 1572, its residents suddenly abandoned their homes, taking everything of value. The city was not destroyed by enemies or burned. No evidence of a major battle was found on its streets. It simply fell silent, gradually swallowed by jungle, hidden from the world for 4 centuries. Scientists still debate why. The conquistadors never found the path to the citadel, but they brought European diseases against which the Incas had no immunity. Smallpox was most likely the decisive factor. A civil war between rival heirs to the throne had also fractured the empire beforehand, and when central authority in Cusco collapsed, sustaining life in such a demanding place became impossible. The Incas retreated into the jungle, hoping to wait out the upheaval, and never returned. Before leaving, they deliberately destroyed the main road so that no one could follow or desecrate the sanctuary. Machu Picchu became a ghost, sleeping on a mountaintop, known only to a handful of local families who passed the knowledge from generation to generation as a closely guarded secret. Today, Machu Picchu is recognized as one of the new 7 wonders of the world, and yet it continues to raise new riddles. Modern instruments reveal voids and sealed chambers still hidden beneath the city, waiting to be explored. Thousands of tourists climb the ancient trails each year, but the city gives up its secrets reluctantly. We still do not fully understand how the Incas calculated stellar movements with such precision, or what techniques they used to move enormous stones up vertical slopes. One thing is certain: this place was created by people who felt a profound connection with nature and knew how to direct its force. The story of Machu Picchu teaches us that the greatness of a civilization is measured not only by its wealth, but by its ability to create in harmony with the world around it. The ancient builders left a monument that has outlasted empires, wars, and catastrophes. Looking at the perfect joints between granite blocks and watching the sun illuminate the altar of the Temple of the Sun each morning, one begins to believe that there is nothing beyond the reach of human determination and talent. Even when craftsmen have only simple stones and faith in their gods, they are capable of building a city that will stand forever. A reminder to all who come after of the golden age of an empire lost in the clouds of the Andes. If you enjoyed this story and want to discover more about the incredible ancient structures that continue to baffle modern science, be sure to subscribe to our channel. We regularly release videos about the most mysterious places on the planet, and your subscription helps us continue these investigations. Ring the bell so you do not miss our next exploration, where we will journey to ruins even more ancient and strange.